for passage A, where do you think the main point is stated, if it is stated in a particular spot? What?
Well, initially, like reading this, the first thing I thought was the first sentence is very strong.
Okay, to a neuroscientist, you are your brain. Nothing causes your behavior other than the operations of your brain. So are you thinking that might be the main point?
I wouldn't say the main point, but I think that was a very strong opening sentence.
It's a very strong sentence. The strength of the sentence, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily tell us much about its role. Like, it could be a strong premise used to support a weak conclusion, or a weak premise used to support a strong conclusion, which would not be good. But thoughts? Yeah, Rob.
I felt after the word instead kind of inferred that a conclusion was coming after.
Oh, okay, so you're looking at line 19?
Yes.
Okay. Instead, the law should focus on determining future harms. I think that's part of the conclusion, yeah. I think that, yeah, maybe you could even argue that that is the main conclusion. I think it begins on line 15. This insight suggests, okay, what does it suggest? That we should abandon, should is often a conclusion, in a conclusion, doesn't have to be, abandon the idea of retribution, blah, blah, blah. Instead, the law should focus on deterring future harm. So it's like those two sentences combined seem to be the main conclusion. Bottom line here, we're told what neuroscientists think. We're then told what lawyers think, in essence, right? Or people who practice law. And then we're told that, okay, take these two things together, and we now have some more facts about the brain that suggest yada yada. The last sentence seems to be just like some implications from that or something like that. But the main idea of this passage, at least that I took away, is that given the recent discoveries in neuroscience, we should probably change the way we punish people, right? Or at least the goal behind punishing. Passage B. Anyone have an idea where the main point is here, if at all? If you were to summarize the main point, how would you summarize the main point? Kyle, you want to guess?
I guess the passage is trying to say even though the brain is technically constrained, it's physically constrained, doesn't necessarily mean that what the actions you do are necessarily against your free will. They could exist.
Yes, so you might have determinism, which was outlined in the first passage, right? Your actions might be entirely determined by chemical processes or something like that. But that is not necessarily inconsistent with the idea of free will. It's really about the source of those causes, not necessarily the fact that they are predetermined, which is weird. But yeah, now one thing that's a little bit strange about this passage, and a little bit difficult, I think, to identify the main point, is that the author never takes ownership even for that idea, right? Notice on line 29, this is where it begins. It has long been argued. Okay, so other people have made this argument. How about you? What do you think? We don't know. Then on line 32, this Alfred guy made this argument, okay? And that actually goes the whole way down. Then the last paragraph, same thing. This person argued that actions are free. Okay, that's what they argued. What do you think? At the very end, it says, although this person did not explicitly discuss the brain's role, one could make the analogy. Are you going to make the analogy? Or are you just going to pass this off to somebody else? Like, it's kind of hard to find a main point here. You have to kind of read between the lines and say, okay, well, given the fact that you're telling us these people's arguments, you seem to be somewhat sympathetic to them, but you're not like advocating them yourself, right? Okay. Any other comments on that passage or the two passages? So, given that, the two passages are very different in some ways. How are they different? What are the thoughts we had? Anything, I don't care.
Passage A is pretty argumentative.
Yep. Has a very specific goal, arguing for that goal. It's very specific to law. It has practical, concrete implications. Yeah? Anything else? Passage B?
is not.
This is the opposite of all that, right? This is abstract. This is like almost theoretical. Like, well, this could be. Yeah, one could argue. Yeah. This seems like a professor. This seems like an advocate or something, right? Okay, good. Now,